Hi, welcome back. This is another one in the 6 Caillou series called Message Validator. In this kata, you have an input string and you should check whether it is a valid message. To decide that, you need to split the string by the numbers and then compare the numbers with the number of characters following the substring. For example, consider the string 3, hey, 5, hello, 2, hi. It should be split into 3, hey, 5, hello, 2, hi. And the function should return true because hey is 3 characters, right? Hey followed 3 and the length matched. Hello is 5 and hi is 2. As the numbers and the character counts match, the result is true. Notes: messages are composed of only letters and digits. Numbers may have multiple digits. So notice in this case there's a 13 here, right? You can't count on the digit being just a single digit. And that is a valid message. Every number must match the number of characters in the following substring, otherwise the message is invalid. So hello 5 and 2 hi 2 are invalid. If the message is an empty string, you should return true. I'm not sure about this weird bit here. Just know that you get the number first and then whatever text, whatever letters follow the number, just make sure its length matches the number, okay? And so 13 and then hello code wars, if you count out, should be 13 characters. So just use that as your guide for doing this. So go ahead and get started, pause the video. May stretch your brain a little bit, but that's good. That's okay, give it a good shot. I'm going to use the regular expressions class in a way that I don't think we've quite used before here, but that's how you learn, right? So I'll assume you had a fair chance to pause the video and I'll get started. First thing I want to do is I'm going to add some print statements here because I think it's going to help make this a little more visual. There we go. So we'll start console, right line, and then I'm going to lead my double quotes with a $sign because then I can insert variables in there and they print the variable's value. Instead of message, it'll print whatever is in message, whatever value's in there. Okay, cool. So that's going to help us when we're troubleshooting. Now what I'm going to do next is I'm going to use regular expressions, and it has this matches method. And it's a nice quick way. Let me see if they have an example down here. Something like this: for each match in regex matches. That's what I want to do, something like this, because I want to go over all of the matches. I know there could be multiple, there could be one, but I'm just going to assume in the general case that I could have more than one. Not much else to say about that. We're going to have to bring in system text regular expressions, of course, to make that work. So let's try something like that. Go back, we'll say for each match, I'll call it match, in regex matches, right? And so what do we put in here, right? We're going to give it the text to search and then a regular expression pattern that we want matched. So of course we're going to search message, and then for my pattern I'm going to use \d, remember that for looking for digits, right? And then I'm going to use plus to denote that it could be one or more digits, right? We want to cover that case where the value is going to be 13. We don't want to stop just on a single digit, so I added the plus there. And the @ symbol here helps with interpreting escape characters. So good. You can imagine in general then that this for each statement, right, it's going to go through message, it's going to look with this pattern for digits, and it's going to return a collection. We didn't quite see that over here, but you should see that it returns a match collection, which has all the match objects found by it, and that's what we're kind of going off of here. And we'll check the match class as well. So good, match. Okay, now we can start working with these matches. What do we do? Well, what I'm going to do is at any point in this for each loop, right, we're going to have the current match. I also want to reference to the next match in case it exists, and then I sort of use the difference between where those matches are found to grab the text between them. So let's set that up. Let's say match, I'll just call mine next, you can call yours whatever you want, and we can say match.next match. Okay, so this will, it might not exist, right? But we're trying to look ahead and say, get a reference to this next match. I'm gonna see if I can find that for you here. Actually, it should be next match. There you go. So yeah, open up these doc pages and do some reading if you need to. Returns match object with the results for the next match. Good. Starting where the last match ended. That's good too. We want to kind of proceed in an orderly sequence there, right? And so you can see what they do is that you get this match object, kind of like what we've grabbed with our for each loop, and then you can use this success property to see if it was an actual match. You can imagine when you get to the end of your series of matches, this success property will no longer hold. See how they're doing next match down here? After they've processed, they say get the next one. You come up to the top. If there isn't one, this success won't be true. If there is, success will be true, and you can keep cycling through the loop there. So I think we can use something like that too. So we've got our next match. Let's set up a few variables too. Let's go with, I'm going to make a variable here for holding the text portion. So by that I mean the code, and then hello code wars. In our other example it was hey, hello, hi. It's the part without the numbers in it, and just each section as we want it. We want the first one just hey, then our next pass we want just hello, right? And then next pass give us hi, something like that. Just going to initialize it to nothing to start, and we'll populate that. And then let's go ahead and set up that text based on whether we find a next match, right? So we can say if next.success, right? We saw that success property. And so what should the text be here? And before we get into this, I want to add some more debugging to help make this visual. Console write line. And then let's see, let's put some match properties in there. I'm just going to do a little formatting. \T is just going to put a tab in front of all these lines, so I'm going to get this line every time, and then its matches will be kind of indented. You don't have to do that, it's just can make it a little more readable. So let's add match has an index property, its position, right? I'll say match.index, and then we'll do match.value, and these will make sense when you see them. Match.value, and then let's start with that. Okay, so if we do have another match ahead, it means we're not at the end of our message, right? So in that case, we're gonna have to substring into the message, right? We're gonna cut in, and note that the index is where the match occurred. So in this first case, it'll be index 0, right, for the number 3, and the match value is the 3 itself. That's what you actually matched on. So using that information, we want to start with our substring. We want to take where the number started, right? And we want to go one past that because we don't want 3 in our text, right? We want the text hey and not 3 hey, right? So let's make a little helper variable here. We'll call it text start. And this is basically the same thing, but it will just omit the 3. So as you can imagine, you would set this up. You could say match.index. For that 3, it was index 0. And we're going to add the length of length. You know strings have a length property, right? And so that's where the actual text starts, because we don't want the digits. That's why I called it text start. And let's go ahead and add this in. It might be helpful. Text start. Okay. Good. So yeah, we're just, with text start, we're just skipping over the 3 and we want to get right to the hey. We're skipping over the 5 and we want to get right to the hello. So with that, that'll make this a little easier to type out. We could say text start, right? We want to get to the letters. And then with substring, right, you tell it what position you want to start at, and then you can optionally give it a number of characters to grab. And since we have a next match, we do want to say how many characters to grab. We don't want to say, if you leave it blank and just do it like this, it's gonna, we know that that pulls all the text to the end of the message, and that's gonna run on into a next match. We don't want that. We just want single phrases between the numbers. So we're gonna tell it how many characters to grab. And so to do that, you can imagine that we could say the next index, the index value where the next is, so that'd be the 5, right? And then we want to subtract text start, because we're giving it a number of characters to grab, right? Next index would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Okay, so otherwise we have text. In this case, right, if next is not successful, it means there's no more matches ahead, and we can just grab the substring to the end. Text start, right? We don't have to tell it how many characters to get. We're just saying, hey, get everything else. There's no more matches. Everything left is just letters. So that's what your text value is. Good. And so, yeah, you can imagine once we have the text, then we've done our setup work here. So at this point, right, we have the text, we have the word itself. And so what do you have to do? Well, you have to make sure the length of that word is equal to the integer value represented here. And of course, we know we're dealing with strings, so we can't use string 3, we're gonna use int parse, right? We do that to get the numerical value out of string representations of numbers. So let's do that. We can say if text.length, right, the length of hey, is not equal to int 32 parse, and that would be match value. Remember, the value field has the 3. So we're saying grab that string 3, pull the integer value out of it, which is the actual number 3. And we're saying, hey, check that against the length. And we know if that's not the case, we can say, even if it's on the first word, right, we could say, you know what, this whole method returns false. If any one of those words violate, we're going to say return false. The idea being then is if you run the gauntlet, if you will, you make it through this whole for each loop, and you never had that condition come up where you had to return false, you can simply return true. And so I'm going to run this so you can see the print statements and hopefully make these property values come to life. Oh sure, regex does not exist. I even said that when we were looking at the docs using system, text, regular expressions, right? So let's try it now and see if we can look at some output. Green, but I want you to see how this works. So consider this, right? We had this right line message here. We just put out the input, whatever they gave us, right? It was 3 hey, 5 hello, 2 hi, just like they talked about in the instructions. Good. Now consider the print line I did here in the for each loop, right? We had the index. Match index was 0 the first time, right? Position 0 of the input string. The value was 3. Look at that. The value is 3. And text start was 1, index 1, right? Because we matched here and we said go to start. When we want to examine this bit of text, and it's saying start here at position 1, right? We do not want to start at match index, because then that would give us 3 hey, right? So hopefully that's clear why I made that text start, and you're just saying, hey, take that index and bump it however long this is, right? Because it could be more than 1 digit. Bump it 2 spots if the number was 13, for example, right? And so, yeah, and then you can see how it goes to the next one, right? Match index is 4. It matched the value 5 at position 4. If you count out from 0, 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep. And saying, hey, if you want the text start where the text starts, start at position 5, which is 1 ahead on the H, right? And then we had that statement that said the next index, which is 10, minus text start, which was 5, right? 10 minus 5 is 5. It means grab those 5 characters. Remember, this bit here is telling you how many characters to grab. It's not you giving the end index position value. It's how many characters you want from text start. And then, yeah, at the end, there's no matches ahead, so you just grab everything at the end. So that went right to green there, but hopefully these statements help, and I want to encourage you to write your own print statements if to help you visualize these two when you get stuck. That's like the first thing you do if you don't have an error and you're just trying to figure out why things aren't working like you want. Unfortunately, that's sort of the best approach here when we're working right in our browser, but if you want to download Visual Studio or something like that in IDE, you can actually step through the program one instruction at a time, and that's really powerful. That's gives you better visibility, but just working in the browser here, that's what you have as a starting point here for troubleshooting. That's what I do. And then sometimes it's just good, even if your program works, add these things in just so you can see how it executes. Make sure your brain can visualize it and follow along. Even when you're right, sometimes these things are helpful, to help you visualize it, then remove it when you're done. And that's what I'll do before I submit. But I'm not going to claim victory until we hit this larger collection. Let's do that. It was thinking, but we are right. This will be clear. So yeah, a couple little things. I'll go ahead and take out the print statements. You don't need stuff like that in your production code unless they're truly helpful comments. Good. And again, if you want to get cutesy and you could initialize text instead of empty string, you can use that conditional or ternary operator, right? And put one case, if next success question mark, then this one colon this one. If you want to cram that all on one line, you can do any kind of cleanup you want there. It's not that important to me. So yeah, I think they're gonna make me attempt again because I altered the code. That's fine. Good. I'll submit. This will probably be a good one to look at other people's solutions for too. But yeah, just a different way of doing it. I don't think we've quite used regular expressions like this called matches. You got this match collection, and then you can kind of handle the matches one at a time, and you've got the option to look forward. So that was very helpful to look. You kind of get what's between the current match and the next match. I want to find what's sandwiched between them, right? What text is sandwiched between them. That was my algorithm here. And then once I get it, check that the lengths match the values, the numerical values. Good. I know regular expressions can be tough when you get into those, so it's really good to keep practicing these and get comfortable with them. I mean, look at how concise this is. Wow. Same kind of idea though, right? So you know what to do. Go ahead, hit me up with questions, comments, concerns. I like to see your solutions too. Otherwise, I'll keep moving. We'll do more 6 Caillou, and I'm not done. Don't worry, I'm not done with the 7 Caillou or 8 Caillou. I'm going to keep making that content as long as you guys are consuming it. So I appreciate your views, your likes, your comments, your subs. Thank you very much. See you soon.